Hello everyone, I Assistant Professor Pragati Shetty from Department of Microbiology, KJ Somaiya College. In this online lecture, we will study about the medical viruses in the medical unit, medical microbiology unit. So we will be dealing with the various types of viruses, their clinical features, their structure, their pathogenicity, right, and prophylaxis, etc. We will study these properties for the each virus. So we will begin with the HIV virus, that is the human immunodeficiency virus. Now, why this virus named as the immunodeficiency? Because this virus targets our CD4 cell, and these cells are responsible for our immunity in the body. And as this virus is targeting the CD4 cells, which are majorly principally responsible for our immunity, that's why the name called as the immunodeficiency virus. Okay, now we will see the what are this characteristic of the virus. Now it is spherical virus, enveloped virus, having 90 to 120 nanometer in the size of this virus. Nucleocapsid has an icosahedral outer icosahedral shell. This shell helps to protect the genome. Okay, and in this shell again we have the nucleocapsid, and inside that capsid we will be having the RNA, that is the genetic material of the virus. Now inner core, cone shaped core enclosing the ribonucleoprotein, right, that is inside the nucleocapsid. Now the genome is diploid with the, diploid means it has the two strands of the genetic material. Okay, genome is diploid with the two identical single stranded positive sense RNAs. Okay, RNA copies. Now this reverse transcriptase enzyme that is present in the virus and which is responsible for its transcription of the virus inside the host cell. Okay, so this reverse transcriptase enzyme transcribed the viral DNA into single stranded DNA and then to the double stranded DNA. Okay, then that structure, that double stranded DNA which is transcribed with the HIV genome, okay, that is called as the provirus, and this provirus can remain latent in the host or in the patient body for very long time. Okay, now provirus can integrate into the host cell chromosome, and once it will integrate into the host chromosome, it will multiply there and it can remain latent for the longer period. Okay, then we will see what is the family. The family of the HIV virus is the Retroviridae family. Okay, retrovirus, the retroviruses are the viruses who have the genetic material as the RNAs, and hence they are called as the retrovirus. Okay, then the subfamily of this virus is the Orthoretrovirinae. Genus is the lentivirus. The HIV virus can also be called as the lentivirus. Okay, the answers will be the same. Then species are the HIV1 and the HIV2. Okay, HIV1 species is isolated in the America, Europe and the Central Africa, and HIV2 species was isolated in the West Africa, and which is very less virulent or infective as compared to the HIV1 species. Okay, also HIV2 species does not spread rapidly as the HIV1 species. So HIV1 is the more contagious, we can say, than the HIV2. Okay, then in this picture, as you can see, this there is the diagram of this HIV. Okay, the diagram of the HIV virus structure. So as I mentioned in this slide, these are the properties of its structure. So you can see here, first we are having the lipid envelope. Okay, on that envelope there are the glycoproteins named as the GP. Okay, indicated in the purple color. The purple colors are the glycoproteins, okay, which are responsible for binding to the host. Okay, these are the, you can say, proteins are antigens, right? So this can be the envelope antigens, and in which GP120 and GP41. GP120 is the docking glycoprotein and is the principal envelope antigen which is responsible for integrating into the host cell. Okay, then GP41 is the transmembrane glycoprotein, right? Then we are having the, okay, on that GP120 is the principal envelope antigen and GP41 is the transmembrane pedicle protein. Okay, it is also can be called as the pedicle protein because that green part, the green portion is called as the pedicles. Okay, and that's why that protein is called as the transmembrane pedicle protein or the transmembrane glycoprotein. Then after the envelope, okay, envelope protein, we are having the envelope, okay, that is named as the lipid membrane. So that is the lipid envelope. Okay, after inside that we are having the matrix, right? The matrix of the genome, matrix of the cell, then the enzymes such as the protease enzyme. Okay, then in that we are having the nucleocapsid. Okay, capsid, which is indicated in that dark blue color dots, that is the nucleocapsid, in which our two single-stranded positively sense single-stranded RNAs are present. And on the each RNAs we are having the two enzymes. One is the reverse transcriptase and the other one is the integrase. So the integrase enzyme will help to integrate into the host cell and the reverse transcriptase enzyme will help to transcribe the genome with the host cell genome. Okay, so this is the structure of the HIV virus. Now we will see the pathogenicity of the HIV virus. Okay, so the infection is transmitted when this virus enters into the blood or the tissue, right? As we all know, virus replicates only when it comes in contact with the host cell. So the infection will start when the virus will come into the contact with the host cell, such as the blood or the tissues. Okay, then which is the primary cell it will attack? It is the CD4 cell, which is responsible for our immunity. Okay, and that's why it reduces our immunity, and therefore a person will be deficient in the immunity, and hence that called as the human deficiency virus. Okay, so the primary cell for the HIV is the primary target for the HIV will be the CD4 cell. So the CD4 will get the infection first, then infection is more with the HIV infected cell then as compared to the cell-free viruses, which means if the infection is transmitting from the sexual contact or the blood transfusion, then the virus is already there and already getting multiplied on the one person body. Okay, and from that person the virus is transmitting. So that is called as the HIV infected cells. Okay, that is the sexual contact or the blood transfusion, right? The virus is mixed with the blood, is integrated into the blood. So that is called as the HIV infected cell. So infection is more in such cases as compared to the cell-free virus. Okay, cell-free virus such as the injecting the blood products, okay, that in that the cell-free virus will come. Okay, so we will see the pathogenesis of this HIV virus. Now what is the pathogenesis? HIV can infect the immune cells such as as I mentioned the CD4 cells, T cell, the cells, see it can infect the cells which are responsible for our immunity or which are responsible for the phagocytosis or the defense mechanisms for the pathogen, and HIV infect that immune cells. Okay, so that immune cells, so that are the CD4 primary principal cell, okay, CD4 cell, the T cell, macrophages, and the microglial cells. Now the HIV-1 species, okay, HIV-1 entry to the macrophages and CD4 T cells is mediated through the interaction of the virion envelope GP120. Okay, as I mentioned in the previous slide, the GP120 is called as the principal envelope antigen. Now why principal? Because that protein, the GP120 protein, mediate the entry of the HIV into the CD4 cells, and that is why it is very important protein of the HIV virus, GP120. Okay, now the HIV can also transmit or enter in with the chemokine co-receptors named as the CCR5. Okay, this is the pathogenicity and the pathogenesis. Okay, pathogenicity means how pathogenic is the virus is, and pathogenesis means virus can infect which types of the cells or which portions, that will come in the pathogenesis of this virus. Okay, now we will see what are the symptoms of the virus. Now we have 4 distributions for its symptoms: group 1, group 2, group 3 and group 4. In that, group 1 is the acute HIV infection. Okay, in the acute HIV infection, see, first the infection symptoms will occur, then in group 2 there will be no symptoms. Okay, group 3 again there will be no symptoms, and in group 4 there will be symptoms. Okay, so we will start with the group 1, that is acute HIV infection. Okay, so acute HIV infection, the symptoms for this group in the virus infection is mostly get ignored, or is mostly get misunderstood with the symptoms of the influenza. Okay, why? Both the symptoms are similar. In both the disease conditions, the symptoms are the similar. So that is why the often is mistaken for influenza or the bad cold. Okay, now the symptoms generally occur between the 2nd and 6th weeks after the infection. Okay, as we saw previous slides, that HIV virus can remain latent for a very long period on a person's body, or the host. So the symptoms will occur generally between the 2nd and the 6th week of the infection. Okay, then symptoms can include the fever, headache, sore throat, then fatigue, then body aches, weight loss and the swollen lymph node. Neurological symptoms also can be for the peripheral neuropathy. Okay, now the other symptoms such as the rashes, mouth or the genital ulcer, then the diarrhea, nausea and the vomiting, these symptoms can be also seen in the HIV infection. Okay, also there will be the gastrointestinal infection, then the vomiting, diarrhea, right? So neurological gastrointestinal symptoms can be also observed. Now the CD4 cell count gets low when the person is infected with the HIV. As we know, HIV will target the CD4 cells, and therefore the CD4 count in that person will be reduced. So from that we may assume that the person may suffering from this infection. Okay, so CD4 T cell count can drop very low during the early week of the infection. The initial illness can last several days or even the weeks. The greatest spread of the HIV occurs throughout the body early in the disease. Okay, the HIV spreads rapidly, and that's why the medication should start very prior days of the infection, so there will be the maximum chances for the recovery of that person, because this virus spreads very rapidly in the body and then it can remain latent for a very long period. Okay, now we will come to the group 2 symptoms. Okay, which are the group 2, that is the asymptomatic or the latent infection, right? As I mentioned, the latent part will come now. So the after the initial comes, after the initial infection is done, there comes the latency period or the incubation period for the virus. In that period, the virus will remain latent in a host cell, right? So this latency period can last about 10 years, which is a very, very long time duration. Okay. Now the most common symptoms is the lymphadenopathy, in which the lymph node gets swollen, okay, gets inflamed. So this is the most common symptom for the HIV virus, that is the lymphadenopathy. And the lymph nodes of the arms, neck, groin area, okay, there this lymphadenopathy can be seen, can be observed. Now we will come to the group 3 symptoms. What are they? Now in this, there can be the beginning of the ARC, that is the AIDS related complex. As we know, HIV further developed into the AIDS. Okay, so in the group 3, there is a persistent generalized lymphadenopathy, in which presence of enlarged lymph nodes can be observed. Okay, and that can persist for at least 3 months. Okay, now this can be the beginning of the ARC or the AIDS. Okay, now this is about the group 3. Now in the group 4, AIDS related complex, that is the ARC. Once in the group 3, it was beginning for the ARC. Now in the group 4, okay, in the group 4, that is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, will start visually. Okay, visually symptoms will be there in the group 4. For the AIDS, that is the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome or the ARC, that is the AIDS related complex. AIDS is developed from the HIV. Okay, if the HIV infection will increase, then it will develop into the AIDS, which is more dangerous. Okay, now this can be defined in terms of the CD4 cells count below the 200 cells per microliter, or the occurrence of specific diseases in association with the HIV infection. So in this CD4 cell count, this is the primary symptom, right? This is the most important characteristic for identifying this HIV infection. So it can goes down below the 200 microliter, okay, 200 cells per microliters, or in this the person can have different set of or the various types of the infection along with the HIV infection. Okay, along with the HIV infection, so that can be the symptom for the ARC or the AIDS. Okay, now that can develop AIDS within the 10 years. Okay, develop the AIDS within the 10 years. Now the most common initial conditions are the pneumocystis pneumonia, then cachexia in the form of HIV, wasting syndrome, and the esophageal candidiasis, and the recurrent respiratory tract infections. So as mentioned in the first point, in association of the diseases, okay, so that diseases can be along with the HIV, these diseases can be present. So this comes the pneumocystis pneumonia, then the cachexia, then esophageal candidiasis, and the respiratory tract or the GI tract, the neurological infections can also be present. Then increased risk of developing various viral induced cancers, then including Kaposi's sarcoma. Okay, this is also important characteristic, this Kaposi's sarcoma, which indicates the AIDS. Okay, then Burkitt's lymphoma, primary central nervous system lymphoma, CNS lymphoma, and the cervical cancer. So this is related with the neurological system, the CNS system. Okay, which indicate the ARC, that is the AIDS related complex or the AIDS. Okay, now there are, along with this 4 groups, right, we saw the 4 groups of the symptoms. Now along with these groups there are some other symptoms also. So which are they? That can be the pulmonary symptom, then the GI tract infections, neurological infection, and the tumors. So we will see one by one. Okay, along with that group 4 groups, these symptoms can also be observed. So that include the pulmonary one, which is the pneumocystis pneumonia, that is caused by the pneumocystis jirovecii, a yeast like fungus. Okay, this infection is called, the PCP is caused by the fungi named as pneumocystis jirovecii. Okay, now the tuberculosis can be the cause for this infection, the HIV or the AIDS. Okay, because in the tuberculosis also the immunity gets very weakened, so person is getting deficient in that immunity, and so the conditions will be optimum for the HIV infection in that cases. So that can be the cause for developing the HIV or the AIDS. Okay, now the gastrointestinal infection, the esophagitis is the inflammation of the lining of the lower end of the esophagus. This can be observed in this AIDS or the ARC or the HIV infection. Okay, then unexplained chronic diarrhea, which can be caused by the bacteria infection, bacteria such as the Salmonella, Shigella, then Listeria or the Campylobacter. Okay, the neurological symptoms can be toxoplasmosis, is a disease which is caused by the single-celled parasite called as the Toxoplasma gondii. Okay, then demyelinating disease, in which the gradual destruction of the myelin sheath. Okay, myelin sheath is present in the nerve cells also. So myelin sheath covering the axons of the nerve cells, okay, which protect that myelin sheath, and in that disease, which is the demyelinating disease, the myelin sheath is getting destructed. So that's why the virus will transmit to the nerve cells, and that sheath is responsible for protecting the nerve cells. Okay, then the dementia, this is the neurological diseases that can be present. This disease can be present along with the HIV infection. And in the tumor, Kaposi's sarcoma, as I mentioned earlier, it is a very important characteristic for determining the HIV infection or the AIDS or the ARC. Okay, so Kaposi's sarcoma, KS, is the most common tumor in the HIV infected patients. Okay, then lymphoma, cervical cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma. Okay, related with the cervical cells and the lymph node. Okay, these are the symptoms, or these are the infections that can be present, the diseases that can be present along with the HIV infection. Okay, and therefore they can be used as the symptoms for this HIV infection. Okay, so this is the symptoms. So in this lecture we saw the HIV virus, the viral characteristic features of the HIV virus, the structure, the genome of the HIV virus. Then we saw the symptoms of the HIV virus. In the symptoms we saw 4 groups: group 1, 2, 3 and group 4. Along with these 4 groups, the HIV patient can also have symptoms of the various diseases, and that diseases can be the pulmonary one, gastrointestinal one, neurological diseases and the tumors. Okay, along with this we saw the pathogenicity of the virus and the pathogenesis of the virus. I hope you understood this online lecture. If you have any doubt regarding this, please ask in the comment section. Thank you for watching.